Hi, welcome to my lovely city garden, or welcome back if you've been here before. It's early September. We've come a long way through the season. I still have a lot growing. I have a bunch to harvest today, hopefully a bunch, and still a lot growing. So let's take a tour and see where we've gotten so far. Last time I did an update video, I was a little down on the fact that a lot of my tomatoes haven't been up correctly. They would start to ripen, and then I would get blossom end rot. It's been a couple weeks since then, and I'm seeing a lot of red in here, so let's see what we have to harvest. All right, come on in. So I'm going to start here with the pickling cucumbers. They are just now growing. Can't remember when they were put in the ground. I will note it here. I direct sowed them, so I probably should have sodded them a little earlier. I am going to harvest these small ones now. We're still going to have some warm days, so I'm hoping some of the babies here are still going to grow. We do have lots of flowers, so I'm hoping more will grow. Oh, there's a ladybug on one. I can't see if I'm getting it. This one's my eyes. Oh, there you go. You do your thing, and I'll come back to get those pickling cucumbers after. I don't want to mess with that ladybug. This here is growing my Marketmore cucumbers. I think the heat really got to them. That's why in the season they should have been producing like crazy. Some of the flowers dropped off, and I just could not keep them hydrated enough. I have come through and taken some off already. Didn't get very big. This is some that's on here. I don't think it's going to get any bigger, so I might pull that one, and this one as well. It's actually very prickly, so I'm not sure they're going to get any bigger. So before they just rot, I will get those as well. So this down on the left here is my row of brassicas. This is a Brussels sprout. It has been in the ground for quite a while, but again, one of the other things I should have probably put out earlier. I had some challenges at the beginning of the year with getting the garden cleaned out in time to get this cold weather crops in. I was a little late, but I decided to keep it. There's a bee right near me, so cute. And to give it a shot, decided to still plant them on. And most of them did absolutely nothing. These are all Brussels sprouts. But this one looked like the middle of the summer it was going to eventually get some, because I have all these little tiny buds there, but this is pretty much just stood the way it was. So, bit of a failure on my Brussels sprouts. I also had Brussels sprouts in pots, and those died off early on. Pots were too small. I could not keep them watered enough. So my basil go to flower over here that it was growing, very small. And that's growing over here with my peppers. In my first row I have Chocolate Beauty. They stood very small. I do have some growing. But they're small. These here, they give you some perspective. The poles are all the same size. That's how short those are. And here are the Orange Sun, much taller. I've come through and took a couple off this plant here. They were the first to grow, and they were getting big, and they didn't change color yet, but oh, here's another one. So I'm not sure how big these bell peppers are actually going to get, seeing that we're in September. So they'll be small. Purple Beauty, I have already harvested a few off of here. They started off purple, and then I left a couple in the back there to grow on. Let's see if they get a little bigger. These are my tallest, the yellow sunbright. And I've harvested a couple small off here because we were getting to some nights that were kind of getting chilly and I was afraid I didn't want to lose everything. So I took some off so I at least got some peppers, and I'm leaving the others on to see how big we can get them. And last but not least is the California Wonder, which is a red. And again, we have a lot of those. Not very big. This is actually a pretty good size, but you know, not the regular size you see in a grocery store. Maybe this was something else that could have been in a little earlier. Maybe I could have given it more fertilizer. Who knows? But here's where we're at. Here we have my eggplant. First time growing eggplant. I've already come through and taken one of the eggplants off. It was on this plant here. It wasn't that big. Well, it was bigger than that. It was probably the size of my fist. And I'm going to be making some eggplant parmesan with it. And on this plant here, there's 3. So again, they're kind of small, but I might be taking one off. Oh, this is about the same size as the other one. And yes, I'm going to take this one today. So then these can grow on. There's 2 more on here, and I want to give them a chance. Marigolds, marigolds, marigolds. These along this way are huge. This being the biggest one. The garden is definitely beautiful. These were the broccoli plants that I planted. They did very well. They didn't get big giant heads, but when they got a good enough size to eat, I plopped them off, and the plant keeps making little side shoots of little florets. And when I see them, I just pop them off and pop it in my mouth as a little snack. So that's why I've never pulled these. Oh yeah, because it keeps giving me a little bit more. And right down here, we have Swiss chard. I have never tried it yet because for a long time it stood really small. It's supposed to taste like spinach, which I haven't been able to grow for some reason. My favorite green is spinach. Someday I'm going to take some of that for some kind of breakfast or put in my salad. This is my kale. I cut a lot of it down not too long ago to make some soup, and it's continuing to grow now, so I'm going to keep it going. This is mustard, which is going to flower and seed. And all of this purple, I believe it's morning glory, which I tried to grow blue, came up voluntarily. If it's not morning glory, it's something else, but it's beautiful and I love it. It's attracting bees. Actually, everything here is attracting the bees, but I don't know if you could see, but these flowers are just covered. And look at that zucchini over there. We'll go there next. Before the zucchini, let's look at my poor one lonely corn stalk. I keep trying to, I think maybe the pollen's gone, but keep trying to feed it the one corn that's coming. But I don't think it's gonna work. But it's pretty. Maybe next year. I have a couple little baby watermelons. I don't know if they're gonna do anything, but they're tiny, and once they started and arrived, they stood this tiny. So, don't know if that will amount to anything. Maybe these flowers choke them out. Could be. There's some flowers that I I just put in a pot here. Okay, my most productive zucchini. My only productive zucchini, I mean. Looks like we have another one growing here, looking quite healthy. And we have another one. Oh, there you are. You're down there. It's a good size. I'm probably gonna harvest that as well. So down here are a couple more zucchinis I planted late, direct sowed. Nothing on this one. But I do see on this one a zucchini. Small, but that's okay. I'm gonna let that go. I only see one. And then I had another back here. I don't think those are doing anything. There's two more. No, they're small. And then also in this bumble mess is my purple bush beans. And they just keep coming. I love it. Could have gotten bigger, but it's going to give this other one more of a chance to get even bigger. Alright, so we're going to leave this one to grow on, and I'm going to take this one. A little small for an eggplant, but it's September, and I want to give these others a chance to grow. More from my eggplant parmesan. So here's some of the Swiss chard that I grew. And since people say it tastes like spinach, and I love spinach, I'm going to take some and make an omelet for breakfast. Not this one though. The ones that look beautiful and healthy. That should do for now. Oh wait, it's gonna cook down a bit, so let me get a little bit more. There's actually a few plants in here. I think I just may have grown them a little too close together. And these kind of have a lot of the baby leaves, so that'll be good. And like most leafy greens, well, actually all, as far as I know, but I could definitely be wrong. You cut the outside leaves and the insides will continue to grow. That should be enough for breakfast. Alright, let's get some of these little cucumbers out of here. The market didn't get very big. And then over here, the pickling cucumbers that I've seen a couple come through. The pickling The pickling cucumbers are actually, let me keep them separate, are actually the perfect size. But there's only 2 of them. So maybe we'll do a little mini jar of pickles. What's next? Okay, here's our yellow summer squash. I've only been able to harvest one off of this plant, but there was one growing here the other day. Let's see. Oh, looks like someone stole one of my tomatoes. Let's just eating and rotting away over here. But I do have one summer squash growing here. And I'm gonna let that go for a little longer. Get a little bit bigger. There's another one growing here. We'll see if the bees can find it in the morning. So, not very good production off of this summer squash. I'm not sure of the official name, but I'm happy with anything that I get. So I had one already, and there's one growing. And over here, it's looking sad, but it has been my most productive yellow pear tomato plant. There are still some I can harvest. There's still some green ones. And as I come in and pluck them off, the others continue to ripen up. So I put this mint in a pot. It's the chocolate mint, and it did great for a while. It filled up almost this whole pot, and then I went on vacation and it dried out and died, I thought. And then it started coming back. Very nice. And my tomatoes. This whole side is tomatoes. Last I did an update, I wasn't happy with my tomato progress. Every time it would look like something would become ripe, I'd turn around, blossom and rot. I'd pluck it off. Others on that vine would look great. We'd wait a few days. I'd come back, blossom and rot. Why? Could be a few different reasons. You look it up online, too much water, not enough water, not consistent enough water. It's too hot, it's too cold. The biggest part that I saw is it needs more calcium, and you get the calcium from the ground and the fertilizer, and as the roots suck up the water, that's how they get the calcium. So was it a watering problem? Again, I'm not sure. We had a super hot summer. There were some times I'd come out here and there'd be beautiful flowers all over the tomatoes. Have a couple of days in the hot high 90s, 99, 100 some days it was, and that's going to affect the flowers. They fall off. If the flowers aren't there to get pollinated, they're not going to produce the tomatoes. Now, I'm not a pro. I just like to grow. So one of my favorite things to do is have a garden and grow some vegetables. All of these plants, all of these tomatoes, they were all treated the same way. And when I do my tour, you're going to see how some were amazingly growing, some did good and then fell off at the end, and some did crappy from the start. This is all about learning, and this is why I wanted to do these videos, is to have a garden journey and to show what goes wrong, what goes right, keep an eye on what I've done and how things are growing throughout the year. So let's take a tour of the tomatoes. Okay, so right here we have 3 black crim. I've already come through and harvested a tomato off of these, but as you can see, we didn't get much. And here we go, another blossom and rot. This one looks good, but look what's starting. The last time I was out here, I was getting very discouraged with this, but what are you gonna do? Some years, tons and tons of tomatoes, some years, not so much. Okay, these here are supposed to be the chocolate cherry. However, all the chocolate cherries I have been harvesting have been yellow. So I'm 99% sure I didn't mix them up when I was planting. Maybe they just are yellow, and I thought they were a little on the browner side. I actually thought they were more of a cherry looking thing instead of like a pear looking thing, but they definitely look like the yellow pear. So we'll take some of these off. Very good garden snacks. These 3 are the Orange Virginia Sweet. They did not do very well. I didn't get any fruit from them. And that's that. This is a San Marzano. These are the determinate type. This one has no tomatoes. They were supposed to produce awesomely, but not here, or not there. So again, a good reason why I want to keep track of everything is maybe they're just not in the right spot. Right on the side of them I have 2 rows of the Cherokee purple. None of them have actually been purple. The furthest I can get is to about here, and again, bottom is getting rotted. Now, all of this is still yummy, and I'm gonna eat it. But this don't look purple, but it is very delicious. Inside looks kind of purple, I guess. Okay, but these didn't do too badly. They grew a lot of fruit, most of them. Some are small and just kind of stood small, and that happened with a bunch of the different tomatoes I was growing. Here we go. Again, bottom's starting to rot. But I'm taking it now, eating it now before it gets rotted. And it's small, but that's okay. And we have another one there. Not rotted. A little bit of crack in there, but that's okay. Okay, this is also a San Marzano. And I have two plum tomatoes. And I'm taking them now. No sign of rotting, but there's only 2. Now, the San Marzano and the orange Virginia sweet, they never really did great. However, the green zebra, where I had 3 of them right here, and the black crim right here, were doing fantastic for a while. I even had at least one of the black crim off of here, several of the green zebra. They never got very big. The biggest one, I think, was probably around this big. I have pictures of it. But this is all that's left on here that I kept to see if they would grow more. But that's all we have from the green zebra, and those plants are definitely done. Now, in this other San Marzano, I have a few big green tomatoes there. So they're gonna stay there and see how they turn out. Now, these are the Valencia. These never got very big, but they did produce tomatoes. Not a ton, but they were my first to ripen up on the vine. No rotting. They were delicious. I just had the one so far, but this one here is looking like it's okay. Again, rot. I'm gonna pull now and see if I can harvest anything from it. So as you can see, it can get a little frustrating with all the work. Still, I'm not getting the perfect giant tomatoes that I wanted with no rot. But again, we've had some issues this summer, and that might be it, or it could be something I did or didn't do. Tanner, are you eating my food? Hi, bud. Say hi to Tiana. Now, these are the Rosa Sicilian. These are a grouping that from the start always just grew, did great, started growing. They took a long time to ripen up, but they look fantastic. Look how pretty they are. And I remember in one of my update videos coming out and seeing them grow and how pretty they are, and like geeking out at how lovely they are. So these are coming with me. They're ready to come home. No rotting. We still have a bunch to turn. Right now they're green, and oh, I wish I had wood to knock on. Knock on wood. They're not rotting. Got some back here. So they took a while. They didn't get humongous, but they got very nice. So I'm gonna harvest all the ones that look ready and let the rest grow on. All right, let's get those red, beautiful tomatoes. Basket's getting full. And with the other varieties, I've been pulling some that are starting to look ripe so they don't get blossom end rot, but this one I'm going to keep because, like I said, not a lot of these, again, knock on wood, have had the rotting. And the Brandywine Pink. These were supposed to be huge, gigantic tomatoes. They're not for me. I pulled a couple of them to ripe up inside and they did well. Still a lot of green. There's a lot of greenery in here too, so I think what I'm gonna do, not today, probably tomorrow morning, is come out and get rid of all the unnecessary foliage. I think some of it is blocking out some of the tomatoes, so the sun's not getting to them to vine ripen, and I really want these to vine ripen. I want all the nutrients coming from the roots in the ground to go into the tomatoes and not all of this greenery. There's a good one going. Very nice. The ones that are still on here look very nice. I have had to come through and pull some with the blossom end rot. Oh, here's a really nice one. A couple of them actually. Right here. Oh, I accidentally popped it off, so I guess it's coming inside to ripen. Starting to have that, but it's a good size, so we'll take that inside. Now, although I try new things and try to experiment, I'm kind of old school when it comes to tomatoes, and I get that from my father. He'll plant something out, he doesn't do any pruning or messing around with things or special fertilizers. He just puts them in the ground, watches them grow. And if he tells me, hey, pull that tomato, it's going to be fine ripening out on the windowsill rather than ripening up on the vine to be the perfect tomato, I'm going to do what he says, because he's typically right. This mint is not doing as well. This is another one I put in a container. It did great. I went on vacation, ignored it for a little bit, and it crusted all up. But now it's starting to come back, and this is dry as hell, so I should put some water in there. My container garden, I can tell you right off the bat what went wrong here. Now, things are still growing. Not to say everything went wrong. But there were some things, especially my carrots, that suffered because they were not getting enough water. Some things did okay, despite that. So here is a raspberry plant that somebody gave me. It looked like 2 little sticks when I got it, and it's grown all the way up to here. I don't know much about growing raspberries. The only raspberries I ever ate were growing wild around here. So there are some flowers there. I don't know if those will become raspberries or if it's way too late, and this is just the first year of growing, and maybe next year they'll get better. But I am impressed with just what they've done so far, coming from little sticks, look like little sticks in the ground, up to here. This is a Cherokee Purple that I put in just before I went out on vacation a few months ago, just because I still had it in a pot. I didn't expect it to do much, so I'm super happy that we at least got 2 tomatoes, and we'll let them live here and see what happens. And this was my carrot experiment. Gone a little bit wrong. It was going great for a while, but it got too hot at one point and I didn't give it enough water, and I probably should have moved it to shade. So there's a few different things that I know I went wrong there. Here's a Cherokee purple that has been living in this pot for quite a while. It's got a lot of little tomatoes. I've already harvested a tomato off of here. I see one in back there that I can take now before it rots. And there's just a bunch of tomatoes on here. So again, it's small when I'm taking it because it's looking a little pinkish, and it can finish its ripening up after. This was a mystery bell pepper, and I have one bell pepper on it. I put it in this pot because it was the last one I had, and I had the pot, and so I did that. Here's my little herb pot I put together. I didn't start these from seed. I did start the marigolds from seed, but the lavender there's two different kinds, and the sage that I bought, and I just put it in this pot together. These are 2 chocolate cherries. One not so great. The other is still producing fruit and thriving. And these little tough guys got popped off of this bigger plant, and I threw them in here to see if they can live and see if they produce anything. And one of them actually had some tomatoes, and I've already harvested them. Last but not least, this is the mystery plant. Found this in the garden early on, put it in a pot till I found a spot for it. I ended up actually my father ended up throwing it in the ground right here. And I believe it is a pumpkin. I can't find it right now, but I saw a little baby, a little lady earlier today. And it definitely is a little round ball. Looks like it should be a pumpkin. Okay, that's gonna do it for today. Look at this beautiful harvest. On days where I say, oh, I wish I had done more, I wish I had more, I wish I could have produced more. I mean, how much could I really eat? This basket's full of nutritious food. I have so much more zucchini that I could do with. I have some in the freezer right now. I've already shredded to make some zucchini bread. I'm having tacos tonight, so the tomatoes are going in that. I have my Swiss chard. I'm gonna go make some breakfast now, make myself an omelet. So thanks for coming along. Thanks for sharing the morning with me while we harvest some of my fruits and vegetables. I'll see you next time.